Hello all, and greetings from the allotment. Today I've been doing a little bit of a chat about strawberries, so I thought I'd just give a little introduction. Earlier on I filmed at home and showed you what was going on there. That will follow on from this, and then the next part will be about the strawberries what I'm growing here. But before we get to any of that, I just thought I'd have a little chat about my experiences over the last few years. And if some of you have followed me from when I started, or have looked back at my old videos, one of the main things what I did was grew many strawberries. I can't remember exactly, but I think I had 33 varieties at one time. I've no idea how many varieties I've got now, but certainly nothing like that. I can only really estimate, because I've not really counted up, probably 15 maybe a bit more, somewhere around there. Right, okay, so when I first started I grew a lot in 3 litre, well at the very beginning I did put some in 2 litre pots. Big no-no there, just not enough soil in those. You need to really be in a 10 litre pot for the strawberries. But I did get away with 2 years using 3 litre pots. But the amount of I kept a load in the polytunnels, and yes, okay, I had my first strawberries on April the 11th or somewhere around there. So I had a long growing season between the indoors and the outdoors. But the amount of watering involved, if you've got, I think I had between 100 and 150 plants, was just, there was loads of buckets a day was needed. So it was a right pain. So it's alright, just seemed to... Hi Cliff! Yeah, so this year was the first year I've went away from that. Now we've noticed we've missed the strawberries, that's one thing, and I've introduced a lot in another, I can't remember how many plants, was it another 40 or 50 plants, and maybe it wasn't that amount, it could have been 36 or something, but anyway, I did keep a certain amount, and I'm left with about 200 plants between the allotment and home. I've got 135 at the allotment here. Now because a lot of those have been transplanted from those small pots, they're taking a while to actually establish themselves, so this year is not going to be great for strawberries for me. At least I don't think it is. We'll have a look in a minute, because we've had a few days of rain, we've had a bit of sun, and a lot happens, and I've not taken any notice really in the last couple of days, so that'll be interesting for me to have a look around as well. My advice would be, if you don't mind watering a lot, don't go to the extent I had of 100-150 plants in the tunnel, but maybe have 30 and put those in about March time into the tunnel. Keep watering them, make sure they're always moist, not overwatered mind you, because I don't like it soaking wet, but you just got to give them a good watering each day. And as soon as they start, the leaves start appearing, the crowns start showing, give them a bit of feed. That's one thing I've neglected this year, and that's maybe where I've gone a little bit wrong on previous years. So yeah, give them a little bit of feed. Now the feed I use tends to come from either Aldi, that's my first point of call, or Lidl. After that I go to the shops like B&M or Pound Shop, and I look for this vegetable feed, and I use that. First year I started using that, I never read the instructions, I just sprayed it all over. Now for me, didn't seem to affect the plants at all. But if you read the instructions, it said that you've got to pour it to the base of the plant. So, if you have not got, my advice would be to follow the instructions. Don't always go by what I do, because sooner or later it's going to fail for me. You know, I maybe have just been lucky at the moment. I mean, I think I may actually use an experiment. I may actually spray just with a watering can all over on some of mine, and others I may leave. But that's because I've got the quantity, and it doesn't really matter if we lose a few, especially this year, because the rest of the fruit trees are just full. So what we lose on strawberries, we're going to be gaining on raspberries and loganberries and gooseberries and black currants, red currants, and pears, apples, plums. Look like it's going to be amazing. Right, other advice. If you're sowing them outdoors, best to use black fabric to keep the weeds at bay. But before you get that far, it's really a good idea to make sure that that ground is actually weed free. Because mine was a overgrown plot, and I cleared it all and did all that business. But I had nettles and that coming in with the little hole where the strawberry plant went through, and weeds and that, and it was still a pain. So what have I done this year? I'm trying in raised beds, because I've introduced all these other veg and flowers and things. What I'm doing, I'm struggling for room. So we'll have to see how that goes, whether I'm going to have any luck with that. Because obviously the strawberries are going to fall on the soil. So if it's a wet summer, they may suffer from rot and what have you. You know, we'll just have to see. It's going to be a bit of a learning process that way. Varieties, okay. Don't use Cambridge in the tunnels, because they will more than likely suffer from I've forgotten the actual names, but mould basically, and it goes into a powdery. They just crumble. Varieties that I found were good in the tunnel: number 1, El Santa; number 2, Crestina; 3, oh, now I've forgotten. Crestina. It'll come to me when I take you round. Oh, it's just slipped my mind. Cambridge are meant to be a good variety for outdoors. I wasn't too impressed personally. I'll tell you one what grew in pots outdoors last year, it was really good, was Lucy. This year I'm trying Corona. Corona is meant to be a variety that's pretty resistant to most strawberry pests and diseases. So we'll see whether that is actually true on my experiences. Okay, I'm going to take you. I'm not going to stop it with this now. I'm going to take you off the tripod and I'm going to show you around. Okay. Okay folks, right, I've still got a few straddlers in pots. If you see a leaf looking like that, just take it off. You can see I've got loads of weeds in there. I was going to see if we've got a label in here, but I haven't, so I don't know what that is. Wrong label. It's got a cucumber label in there, so I'm not sure what these are. I think that's why I left them in the pots, because I didn't know what they were. Okay, these are all a variety. I think no, to be honest with you, I think most of these are Corona, if I remember right. And I think those in there, in those three there, are all mixed. These are ones which came out of the pots where the label had actually faded. That's the other thing. These are white labels. Not only will they fade, they will actually fall apart in your hand. They just crumble because they obviously are not resistant to the sunlight. They're not looking that great, but then these were runners what had been neglected over the winter. So those plants were more or less on the verge of dying. So, you know, I gave them a second chance, and they'll probably pull together, but I won't expect anything from them this year. Okay. Oh, you see this one here? Now, I was wondering, I'd forgotten all about this. This one's actually a woodland one, a woodland strawberry, what I bought from the garden centre. It was a variety I hadn't grown before. And that looks as though it's flourishing, doesn't it, as a weed. We don't want that in there, let's take that out. So yeah, it looks as though it likes that spot. Okay, so when we move down here, these have got all the labels with them. For instance, if we look on this one here, this is a Christina. That was probably a, and this one's a Apple. And this one is a Christina. So you can see the difference between that one and that little tiny one, because that was probably just a one that got neglected, and I stuck it in here just to give it a chance. But you can see we've got all lots of new leaves growing. The plants seem to have now seem to be flourishing now. They may be behind the rest on the allotment, but they'll probably catch up. And they are all different varieties what I've got here. So some are early, some are mid-season, some are late. That's a flamenco there. This one's that's another flamenco. I try and group them all together, so that's a flamenco. I can see that one's a Corona, that one's a Corona. So I assume those four, well actually in fact, I can see all those 8 are Coronas. But they are from a previous year, they're not this year's. Right, what we got over here? That's a Vibrant, that's that one there. And this one's, well, they're Vibrant as well, so I've gone across, so that's Vibrant. This is a Lucy. It's best to keep on top of the weeds if you can when you see some. So we've got a couple of Lucies in here. Marshmallow, they're down there. And then, oh, I can never remember this one. Raps, hang on. Oh, Raps something, Raps, I can't remember what it is. They're elegans, those two. In fact, all 4 of those are elegans. In fact, all 8 are. So that was actually, the elegance was actually a variety which I grew last year, and all 8 survived throughout the winter. Now some of the other varieties, because I had 10 different varieties I introduced last year, 8 plants of each, they did not all survive. Right, so we've got some Cupid. I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's Cupid as well, I can see it. So they're all Cupid up to here. So we had 6 Cupids survived out of the 8. But having said that, there might be a Cupid left at home. This one's a Malling Opal, and I don't think I think that was one of the varieties which didn't like the pots or didn't like the winter, and basically we lost most of them except for this one. I'm not sure what's in that last one because the label's gone. It's either going to be a Malling Opal. I've got a feeling it could be, actually. Could be the two. And then of course we've got El Santa. See what I mean with, see what I mean with the label? Just falls apart. That's not looking great, is it? In fact, that's a Symphony. And that one's a Apple at the back there. It's actually, in fact, the Symphony hasn't survived, but the Apple, if you look carefully in there, it's actually 3 plants. It needs really separating. And then we've got Pegasus P. We've got one of those at home. A Buddy one here. In fact, you know, I thought I had I'm not sure whether that was a variety or whether that's a label or something else. I've got a feeling that's a label of a cucumber or something. But Hanoi, that was the name, Hanoi. They're a good variety inside the tunnel. Oh, so that's, I'm surprised I've lost all my El Santas. Unless my El Santas are the ones which aren't labelled up. So I must remember to actually introduce some more El Santas into my varieties for next year. That's a bit, because El Santa's the best variety to grow in the tunnels, and I've heard it's one of the best outdoors as well. Okay, right, that's it then. I shall leave that little update for you, and I'm going to be doing well, I'll tell you about that in another video. Thanks for watching. Good morning all. Well, I'm at the garden, and it's that time of year again, isn't it? Look at this. First strawberry runner of this year. What I've got. I've actually got. You can see we've actually got 2. We've got another one there. And this actual plant is a Calypso variety, which is an everbearer. And I bought I think I had 10, well, we had 10 berrited plants last year. And this was the only one left, and I never actually got any runners. It never really took off, the plant. But this is the same plant. If you look on here, you can see 2014, March 2014. And this year, not only have we got strawberries coming, we've also got runners. So we're going to be able to get a few more plants from this one. They say this year is going to be an absolutely bumper year for strawberries. It's not going to be the case for me because I've introduced new plants. I got rid of a lot of mine last year. I got a bit fed up down in the dumps, and I tore up all my plants and I just put them in the compost bin. Big mistake, but it happens to us all. Well, not all of us, but some of us. But anyway, I just thought I'd show you now. Might as well just quickly show you what's the strawberry plants in the garden. That's a we've got a flamenco here. What we got here? That's a Hanoi. Somehow I don't think that is a Hanoi myself, but we'll see. Some of these are really stunted. That's a Corona. I think the reason is that the soil has lost all its goodness, and these haven't been transplanted like some of the others what I put into big buckets. Right, let's have a look at this plant here. This is looking, I'm sorry about the light, just have a look here. Marshmallow, this one. What's that one there? I'm going to have to go through all these with the weeds. That's a Lucy. And what we got over here? That's another Lucy. Now, can you see how the roots are above the ground? That's why it's stunted. It needs to be buried deeper. And then over here, can you see that? Rhapsody. And then over here, Pegasus P. In fact, I thought I'd lost that variety, but obviously I haven't. Over here we've got a Malling Opal, Elegance up here, Flamenco, that's that one. Down here, Rhapsody, that's another one of those. If I take it over here, oh, these are my new plants from, well, a lot of these are from this year. That's a Corona, that was planted 2015. Corona, yeah, I think majority of these are Corona, but there may be some others from last year. The easiest thing is just to look on the date. All 2015, so they're all Corona. This one over here looks as though it could be an earlier one. Yeah, it's Marshmallow. It's that one. That's a Corona. So anyway, if we just go back a bit, you can see that we've got quite a few flowers. As I say, it won't be a great year this year because they're new plants. And that's it, a little update from the strawberries.